such an intense and intriguing and fascinating premise for a film. LaMonica, what was it about this character, about this sci-fi premise that drew you to be a part of this?
This is the world that I grew up in. Like the first movie I went to see on my own as a kid in San Francisco at Tan Fran Theater was Return of the Jedi. I've been a sci-fi nut my whole life. I read comic books. You know, Predator did something to me. Terminator did something to me. Like these movies, they were my childhood. So when I had the opportunity to jump on something like this, it was a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, let's do it. Well, the pay, yeah, no, don't worry about the pay. No, don't say that out loud. But it was such a, I really wanted to do this film, and then you find out who's all working on it, and you're like, oh, heck yeah, I got to be a part of this.
Michael, how was Reyes then originally broken down for you?
He's just he's just tier one. He's just tier one. So they had to go and get the biggest guy in the room so he could enter the room first. Max and I, Max Martini and I, we go way back. We were on a series called The Unit. And I think we were actually out of country, and my phone was ringing, and Max says, "Hey, I'm doing this movie and I want to send you the script. And, I really would love for you to be a part of it." And, just to be able to run and gun with Max Martini again. And then when I found out who all was coming together, small, beautiful circle there, Max and LaMonica and I, we all have the same manager. So that was turned into like a little bit of a family affair. And that's always fun. And, once I found out it was aliens and it was running and gunning, big old cat and mouse chase film, I'm like, let's go do it.
Max, certainly Rhodey, Kelly, and Reyes have this bond together because they're officers. But is this a circumstance that truly just makes their friendship even stronger and maybe their reinforces their bonds from that military training?
You're talking about the characters. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important that communicates on screen that this is a unit, that these guys have been part of this unit. They have a history together. Um, like Michael said, he and I go back. Our kids grew up together. My oldest kid and his kid went to college together. They were college roommates. We have a history. Monica and I are on a show together. So, one of the cool things about Will is that he, like Taylor Sheridan, recycles his actors, right? So I had worked with Jaron Mitchell and Linz Edwards. Brianna and I are doing a movie that's coming out soon, and so, but he keeps that family, that little film family together, so that there's a pre-existing history when we come on screen for the first time. And it's hard to build that if you don't have it. Productions try and they, set up dinners, but you really can't do it over a dinner. You sort of need to come in with it. So I love that about this movie. And yes, you're right. It's very important.
And we had maybe a little too much fun out there when we were filming.
Hey, we don't need to get into all that.
Hey, I'm trying to work
Happens
here.
in an alien captivity, stays in alien captivity.
Exactly.
Well, Monica, you talked about being such a huge sci-fi fan. What was your reaction when you found out you would be working with Linda Hamilton? You talked about Terminator being such a poignant memory for you.
Yeah, at first the role was written for a male. It was, there was another actor that was gonna jump in and play it, but something happened to him, medical stuff. So they were bouncing around names of who's gonna play this role. And when you told me Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton was in the mix, I'm like, that should have been where we started. Like, that's Sarah Connor. Like, watching her do this, I can't think of anyone else that should have or would have even thought about being cast to this. It was epic, running through corridors with these big guns, and she's like right there on your tail. Like, it was incredible.
Max, when you're filming this, are you a little claustrophobic because you're supposed to be in this small confined area and there's pods here and there's this here. It's sort of like a tight space. Is it claustrophobic or are you just, focused on your work at that point?
Well, funny you should mention claustrophobic because I am really claustrophobic. These guys know that. Um, yeah, I mean, it's supposed to feel claustrophobic, and it was, there were, I mean, the tunnels, that was a tough one for me. I think they removed some paneling so I could actually get through it without breaking down into tears. But yes, yeah. I think it's supposed to feel that way. It's so interesting how this all shot on one stage and they had built this ship and it was a puzzle. They kept reconfiguring hallways and redressing things and moving things around and I thought they did a great job of it, and creating that sensation.
Yeah.
Michael, what's it like for you filming against these CGI beings? It's sort of fascinating how well they've turned out on screen. I think it's whoever crafted these alien creatures is just incredible.
Tell her, Irby. Tell
Yeah.
her.
Well, I
Tell
gotta
her.
say, they weren't CGI; they were actual monsters in actual costumes. Todd Masters, he created these monsters, and like Max was saying earlier, from the ground up to the neck, the actor's head stopped at the neck, so they were actually looking through their necks. But then above that, they were all mechanical, and they had everybody sitting on the side, with the remote controls, moving the mouths, moving the eyes, and so as much as it wasn't CGI. That's what was so refreshing, is that it was us and the monsters were, 20 feet down the hallway, and you see these monsters coming around the hallway. It's not a tennis ball or a green screen or, a picture on a C-stand. It's actual monsters. And I think that you can see the monsters through our eyes. I think that's what also takes the film up another level, is that you see actors actually seeing the monsters and having to operate in those conditions. So, the CGI happened after the fact, as far as some of the different explosions and some of the atmosphere and some of the world out there. But the monsters themselves, they were real, very real.
The intensity to this LaMonica is just incredible. You never know if you guys are going to get an escape. You never know if something's going to jump out at you, and you don't know if you can trust this people who have been there from the beginning. Ravi and Anya. Is there a moment you were filming that you found to be just sort of surreal for you?
I think just each day we show up and we're doing different scenes and you're tracking, you kind of shoot out of sequence. But a lot of it was when we watched the final product not too long ago, there's a lump that comes in your throat because you're holding your breath. And it's, the brotherhood of these guys, there wasn't a lot of time to have character development for each individual, character, because we jumped right into it. But the brotherhood that was created with all these guys, you could tell the history they have, like instances where, someone's going to take a bullet for someone else. Someone's going to push you out of the way, and I'm going to take this L right. I'll jump on this grenade for you. You felt that amongst this group. So you never knew when your time was going to come. But that's part of the why we're watching and why we're, so invested in it.
And Michael, is there a scene then that you're most proud of the work you guys put into, or one that was the most physically demanding for you?
I would say the opening 12 minutes of that. We went down to Austin to shoot that down at the studios down there. And as much as we were doing the training, we were training inside a very small room with all these boxes and, fake this and fake that. But when we got out to Austin and did we did the opening scene, and there's a level of trust that you have to have that I can only breathe and touch on it, just the minuscule of what the actual operators have to do out in the actual dirt. But what we were able to do there and recreate that world and kind of be there for each other and stacked up and just keep moving through the atmosphere to try to get all the way up to that point, that like the 12-minute mark. that is what I'm very proud of because, once you see all the hard work and, you're doing little clips of scenes, each one maybe a half a page here, you're running through here, you're shooting here, going down this hallway here. But when you see that 8 to 12 minutes, like it is just your heart is pounding and you look at it and, my son, he's seen it all. He's seen me do all the stuff, but even he looked at me and was like, dude. And it's nice to know. It's nice to know when you've gotten a little bit older that
A
you
little bit of
still got
cred.
it. Yeah, no, that opening scene is balls to the wall. Absolutely brilliant.
Max, you talked a little bit about working with director William Kaufman, and he also co-wrote this. How precious was he with the writing? Did you guys get to improv at all in moments?
I mean, I don't think we did a lot of improving. He's definitely receptive to ideas and there were I don't know about you guys, I'm sure it happened with you, but I made suggestions in certain moments that either he'd nix or he'd take. Most of the time he's sort of game to try different things. So but we, like I said, we also have a history together. And I think that, I know all of us having been part of this movie, there's a mutual trust. So on the next one, I mean, truly, look, at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a collaboration, right? When the machine is really running at optimum, speed and performance, it is a collaboration. So, and he's very collaborative.
Yeah, Will was very open to suggestions that I was making on Max's character. Because
And performance.
Max is just learning that, and so no.
A lot of the notes that Max was
That was
getting
your
are actually
Max said
coming
it to his
through me.
face. Well, Monica, as a sci-fi fan, I think you're the perfect person to ask this question. What do you think it is about Osiris that's just going to captivate viewers?
What Irby said, like these monsters in these suits, like you don't see a lot of this stuff. You don't have this feel with a lot of what's coming out today. Like it looks great. They're clever. There's great storytelling, but just this old school, like we were talking to someone else about another film that I forgot what it was, but they don't make certain movies like this anymore. And for fans of the genre that grew up on this, they're going to appreciate you don't know what you're seeing and why it makes you feel the way it does until you start peeling the layers back. Oh, this is why that happened. Oh, they're filming this way. There's real people in these suits. It's a lot of that going on. The sound was amazing.
Mm.
The visual effects were next level. Like it was a fun time when we watched this at the theater. And a lot of movies, you don't have fun yelling at the theater anymore. There's really good movies still being made, but he's behind you, turn around, like that kind of energy brought out that little kid in me when I was watching Osiris.
Jamie, can I add to that? I think, like, truly, I would say don't go to the theater expecting, to watch, a Robert Zemeckis film. Like, this is pure entertainment. It's not that his aren't entertaining, but this is like a crack a beer, get your popcorn, get the family on the couch and enjoy the ride kind of movie. And it's so fun and it's funny. There's a lot of humor in it. It's very tense. It's scary, and the action is just masterclass. I think anybody that wants to just sit back and not think about anything and just be entertained is going to love it.
To add to that, if Blockbuster was still around,
That's right.
and I remember when I used to go to Blockbuster, I didn't know what I was gonna get. I
Right.
just walk around, peruse, and I pick up like, oh, that box looks cool, and I read the back of it, huh? And I get home, I'd be like, I'd watch Osiris and tell everybody, hey, yo, go to Blockbuster, get this Osiris film. Like Friday night is set. Like that's what this movie is.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, LaMonica, we down for another Linus? I have to
Oh,
ask.
yeah, I hope so. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
God.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.